Yeah, what is going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of From My Experience podcast. I am your host, Rob. What's going on? What's up with y'all? How y'all doing? Y'all good? Y'all feeling all right out there? I hope y'all are doing well. I hope that this episode resonates with your soul today. And I hope y'all get some inspiration from this. And who am I talking to? Everyone, you, those of you who are supporting us, those of you who are listening, liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you so very much. We don't just do this for ourselves. We do it for you. It's mutually beneficial, all right? And you know you can always support the show by shopping with our affiliates. There is a Linktree link in the description so you can check them out. We have Gardener's Garden, we have Acre Gold, we have Jot Farms, and we have Black Water. Now, y'all know I am not alone today. I have the co-host with the most, who is always vibrating higher, Miss Jessica Fountain.
Hello, world. Hello, Rob. How's it going?
I wanted that smile to come through in your voice.
Hello, world.
There it is.
I thought it was coming through. What did that sound like?
I ain't that no, but I've been waiting for him to come through, and he ain't that come through, so I had to see something.
Oh, my goodness. It's going to be fun today. The energy, I don't know. We're all over the place in a very playful but purposeful vibe. So, yeah, life is good. No complaints. It's kind of rainy, and I'm feeling it. I am a pluviophile. Word
Excuse
of the
me?
day. Yes. A pluviophile is a person who loves the rain. So I am at peace here.
Where the hell did you find this word?
Actually, one of my friends told me, and I was like, "Oh my God, I never knew." And so that was maybe a couple of years ago. So yeah, I discovered that that's what I am. So I wanted to share that.
Okay. Well, I wish everybody health and wellness. I got back almost up to my 6 miles of walking. That was the best sleep I got in my life yesterday. I'm glad I did not have
Okay,
anything important to do yesterday afternoon because I was done.
good.
Uh, Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest for you today. This young lady has done something, in my opinion, that is very extraordinary. Something that normally you see the glitz and the glamour around it, but the origins of what she did has a more personal touch to it, a more noble purpose to it, and we're going to let her tell her story. But ladies and gentlemen, we have the founder and owner of Bahari Vodka, Miss Natalie Miles. Woo!
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Natalie. Oh man, where to begin with you? You just gave us so much. Let's talk about let's start with the fun part. You started your own line of vodka. Why?
So really, it's kind of a crazy story. So honestly, I noticed that every time I was going out, I really didn't know what else to drink besides cranberry and vodka. I literally, and it wasn't because I was being like, oh, this is my favorite drink. I've tried them all. It was like, I'm out. Cranberry and vodka because that's what I've been ordering since I turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
And then with all of the Black Lives Matter protests and everything that's been going on, I always thought oh wow, it would be so cool to own my own alcohol brand and actually be for Black people and actually about Black people. Not just we drink a lot of alcohol, but we don't have anything that's actually behind it, speaking about our story or
Mm-hmm.
where we come from. It's always about, everything else, and we support others, and why can't we have that? So I chose vodka because I was like, that's really my most favorite drinks, and that's all me and my friends would order. And then also I just put the story behind of people from African descent and how we kind of come from all over the world and how we kind of land in different places, but we all still are originally from Africa origin. And that's just basic how I wanted to incorporate that into my vodka.
Awesome.
Is that part of the reason why what that design is? I love the design, by the way.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
not in
that
college
design.
anymore,
Very
but that is a
nice.
bottle that will be on top of the refrigerator when I buy one and when it's empty.
Thank you. Yeah, when it's empty, makes sense. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no. Actually, yeah, so that's like Africa. It's like in the corner of it. And
Mhm.
then like at the top, it had like Florida, because that's where we launched originally. That's where I am now. This is my main market I'm launching, and then I want to spread out, of course. And then even we have parts of like South America, and technically the
Oh.
vodka is made, yes, because it's made from sugarcane. And so I want to talk about like that was like one of the first crops that like, we actually started to cultivate. So I kind of really wanted to show that like it was about all of us coming from everywhere. And even though we may have, landed in different spots and grew up there and have our own different types of culture that, resonates with those different places, it doesn't matter. It's like that Pan-African type mindset is like kind of what I wanted to bring everybody in with.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love you tied it all the way together. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes. I love the bottle and the aesthetic too. Like, and it's interesting to hear. I wouldn't have known, just hearing the region of Florida, that little intricate detail in the bottle. Because I did notice the Africa when it was on, I think on the website. There's a
Yeah.
picture that specifically stands out to me. But I like the intention behind that. Really nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, where are you from originally?
So I'm actually originally from Philadelphia. Uh, Philly in the house. West
Yeah.
Philly, born and raised. Yeah, the whole every time that like ever tell anybody, Phil, they're like, "Oh, West Philadelphia," and I'm actually from West Philadelphia. So usually I have to like hear the song, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, Will Smith, yeah, you know him? No, no, I don't." But that's actually originally where I'm from.
Okay.
And then I moved to LA 6 years ago to like go out and started to get into my acting career. And then I found writing. I know this is a whole thing. So I found writing,
Okay.
and and then I started screenwriting. Because I was like, oh, you know what, acting's great, but like, what about our stories? Like, yeah, I can act it, but now I have to wait for somebody to write the kind of stories that I want to share with the world or see. But what if I write the stories? And so having my own business and always owning my own like brand somehow always was in the back of my mind, but it never was something that I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to do until I just put the money aside. And when COVID happened, I had the time. So I was like, I'm not working. I have the savings. I was like, are we really going to do this? And before I blinked, we were doing it. So I was like, that's kind of like where it happened. And now I'm back. Now I'm in Florida because that's where my business partner's from. Is from Florida,
Okay.
and this is where all the drinking happens. And I know you guys just seen what was it? Spring break.
Yeah.
It wasn't look like we was on quarantine for spring break.
Right.
No, that it wasn't like anything I've even seen, even from the East Coast. I was like, wow, this is a lot. But so this is definitely a place to be if you want to, try to promote or even push a vodka brand.
Mhm.
But in general, it's also where a lot of Black people are, also from a bunch of different places. So it's also kind of ties into what I wanted to hit into anyway.
Right, the Caribbean aspect of
Exactly.
sugarcane. Awesome.
I got a question for you because I actually I grew up partially in Philadelphia. I was in Northeast Philly, so I wasn't in the cool part. But from
The
seventh
part that
grade
people
through
know.
I don't ever try to front on it. Like, oh, you from Philly? Yeah, I'm from Northeast Philly, but it's still
They're gonna still say, well, you know where West Philly is, though.
yeah. So and I was there from seventh grade to high school. So Philly it just hit different. There's some things that are just ingrained in me that I've carried with me. What are some of those things that you got growing up in Philly that you still carry with you today that have helped you along in this journey that you're on?
I would have to say that there are a lot of people in Philly who are very Pan-Africanist. Like, I don't think people realize that. Like, I had a Girl Scout leader who was very much like that. I had a friend of the family who was like I heard of Kwanzaa, and you hear about that, like, from school when they like randomly teach it. But literally, I actually used to practice Kwanzaa with this family.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it was like, wow, like I never once questioned like where I came from, even if I don't know my exact roots, given what happened to our people, it didn't matter. like we could still come together. And they always used to teach all, like Umoja and all the things about, business and promoting each other. And I feel like there's a lot of that in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a lot of hustle. I mean, you will meet some of the most hustling people.
Yes.
I mean, everybody is selling something. You know what I mean? And you know what? We laugh about it, but really, like, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, when I moved to LA, I was okay. Like, prime example, I was used to getting my incense because I was like, in my house, I've never used like the spray, like the Lysol spray. Out of my house, didn't know what that was. We had incense. That's your spray. Your smell good. It was that. So I'm used to like going onto the train and being like, oh, I got $5 for $1. I was like, all right, great, pick up some incense. And I went to LA and I was just like, where do you buy incense here? Like, and it's like, well, I was getting them off the train. So do I go to the metro and it's a different thing,
Right.
They're not selling that. Like, it's a lot of Hispanics and like Mexicans out there. So like they're selling different type of cultures. I was like, I don't know where to get my things that all my hustlers were selling, my DVDs. Like, like where are my DVDs? Like,
right.
Because the part I was in wasn't very, wasn't heavy populated by Black people. So I was just like, where do I mean, I was walking past stores where it was completely just Spanish on the actual store logo. Like there was nothing in English. And I was like, oh, this is definitely not what I knew of. Like I came in here with like somebody who didn't read a book about LA. So I just felt completely out of it. And so I would have to say the hustler spirit, the Pan-Africanism all came out of Philly. Like that didn't come from anywhere else because I would not be the way I am today if I didn't have those people surrounded by me. And I think really just that, and like I said, my hustlers, I think they always push me to be like, there's always something more you can do. And you can always do what you love and maybe something that you want and put a meaning behind it to push culture forward in some way.
Go ahead, Jessica. You got the thinking face.
Well, I am just still enamored with the fact that you have created this entire brand, concept design, brand design, pushing the marketing. At what point what was your process for cultivating that? Like starting with the seed of it, and how did you move forward to getting it on shelves? I guess a lot of people have these great ideas, and I would imagine it's a lot of consistency and planning, etc. But what was like the push?
I would have to say, really, like the idea behind having a Black owned brand of something that people will use and do use on a daily was there, but the real push was like sit down and research it. Okay, like stop, you know what I mean? Stop going back and be like, oh, I woulda, coulda, shoulda. And it takes time. Half the time, it's not so much about, people, we're afraid of what we don't know. So when you want to start something, you're always like, I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? And it's scared. Sometimes that's the initial fear.
Yep.
But really, we're in the age of, it's 2021. Google is your best friend.
Yep.
So, you know what I mean? Like I really I kind of got back into that. I was a big like internet nerd growing up. So like I was always like movies, I would find like international movies online. I would do all this stuff online. And I was like, okay, so I want to start a business, but I'm scared to search online for hours to figure it out. Like it kind of, you have to balance that. What do you really want? And then, you have to actually put the time into it. So really, I just started researching. And what I had found out is that a lot of some brands don't even have their own distilleries. And I was like, how's that possible? I was like, that's not how it works. But apparently that is how it works. There's people who have distilleries, and some of them even have their own brands, but they make their real money from making contracts with people to make their alcohol. And then it's produced, and it's called contract distilling, which took a heck of a lot to get there to find out what that was. And then it takes a heck of a lot to now I know what it's called. Now I have to hit up all these distilleries in these areas, and I have to figure out who's going to do contract distilling, who knows how to do it. And I have to hit them up email by email or phone call by phone call. And then you're like, oh, what happens? You're in one state and you can't find anything? Great, let's pull up, let's see. You know how many states there are? A lot. So I pulled up the rest of the states and I start going state by state. And I'm like, well, somebody here got to know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's really time. So I think that some people, they have ideas, and it's not the fact that they don't want to put the time into it. I think it's just the amount of time. It's kind of hard when, you know, you have a job and you have family and, you know, you have a lot of other responsibilities.
Yep.
Right.
But that's why I said COVID kind of, you know, was a negative. Don't get me wrong. It was a pandemic. But for me, it gave me time. Like
Right.
my job they basically was like, hey, we don't know what to do. So y'all gonna have to go stay home for a bit. In LA, I mean, I was in LA, so you know that was the highest place.
Yeah.
And it was really, really bad. So I had about, I would say maybe a month, maybe. And so like the idea was always there. I was putting the little design. I had to get somebody else to draw that. I can't. I would like to draw that way, but yeah, I had to outsource them because I was like, I don't know how to do that. But the idea was there and everything was in its little place. The little sketches of, you know, little stick figures of what I'm trying to do was there. I just had that 1 month and I just really focused. I mean, it was like I had another job. I'd wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I really try to do 6:30, and I'd be like, all right, let's go to work. Let's make coffee and go to work. And I had to take myself seriously, even though I didn't have anything to go off of yet. It kind of really does start where you take yourself seriously, like it's your job to figure it out. And each thing that I've done was literally just, okay, go learn it. Okay, so now I learned this phrase about contract distilling, but now I need to go find bottles. Okay, I got to do all this research for bottles. I got to do all this research for labels. I got to do all this research for caps. Right. Okay, I've called the distillery, not the distillery, as far as you was talking about getting it on the shelves. I actually called one of the biggest distributors, Southern, and I was like, hey, like, here's the deal. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to break into the business. What is the process? And believe it or not, this nice gentleman was like, yeah, we need to diversify the market with women. And actually, right. And you're like, there's no way that happened. It did. And he actually set on his calendar, and he was like the head of his department. And he actually just sat and we talked, and he told me, okay, it's this, that, and the third. This is what we look for. And da da da. And I'm like, okay. And I still don't have enough to really be with them quite yet, but I know what I need now to build there.
Nice.
Right. So it's really fearlessness, putting the time in it, and then also just the sacrifice. You got to be willing to sacrifice, you know, whatever it takes for what you want. Really, you have to believe that you really can achieve, you know, I know it sounds like cheesy, but like when we were kids, and like, oh, you can be anything you want to be. But it's really true.
It's real though.
Like it's real.
Right.
Like but you have to believe it. The older we get, it's harder to believe that. Because, you know, we had so many different things in our lives interrupt us.
Yeah.
And so we're just kind of like, oh, well, is it really true? Can I really do that? Yep. But it's like, you don't know if you don't try.
With you saying that, I think it's very true. Our belief system is more jaded and more scarred from just past experiences of life. That it is harder for us to believe in our dreams and in our goals. What has shaped your mental acuity to be able to continue to do this, to move forward? What does that practice, I guess, look like? How are you strengthening your mind, or what do you do to continuously give yourself the momentum to keep putting one foot in front of the other?
I would have to say there was two things my mom used to always tell me, because I was honestly, back in the day as a teenager, I know she had to be fed up with me, because there were points where even she was like, oh my God, you're always upset about this or that. And she was like, there's people who have it worse than you. And so they used to really make me upset. But now, being older, what I realize is, yeah, you can be upset about certain things or about how life is currently. But one of the things she used to always say to me was, you never fail unless you stop moving. So even if maybe I make a wrong step, maybe this wasn't the right decision, you know, to make. Maybe I shouldn't have went with this, you know, distillery. Maybe they didn't give me the best quality. But that still doesn't mean you stop, because I only lose if I stop moving.
Right.
And I think that's something that you have to remember to yourself. And one of the biggest one, even bigger than that, I think, is my mom always say, like, the horses when they're in the race, she used to be like, put your blinders on. because you're gonna you're gonna
Yes.
look to the left, to the right.
Yep.
I mean, we're in a social media culture. We're
It's
gonna look
disgusting.
at everybody. Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
I mean, goodness, when Instagram came out, when I was like, when it was really getting big, I was like my senior year of high school. And I remember being like, this makes me feel really bad. Like, I don't like how this makes me feel.
Yep.
Like, I care about random people. Like, and I really did care because, teenager, when you're a
Right.
teenager, your emotions are crazy. So, I mean, that little added factor, it
Yeah.
kind of really does destroy your confidence sometimes. So, even if it's necessary to like turn off Instagram, because till this day, I'm not even gonna lie to you, till this day, if I get on Instagram and I see everything that my friends are doing, I'm like, dang, I'm over here still trying to, push a business, but
Yeah.
like it's not really where I want it to be. And there's more I wish I could do and I can't. And your friends have a different path than you. They may have already graduated college. They may have already been on to their job and you're still here and it's hard. I mean, you don't, dislike them or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that,
Right.
but you have no choice but to be like, man, what if I did this instead of this? Man, what if I
Yep.
went this way? Why did I do this? Why did I make my life hard? You'll constantly battle yourself.
Right.
So you have to really realize that you have to do what's best for you. And if it's necessary, hey, take a 3-day hiatus, or however many days in between of Facebook. Limit how many times you can watch Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. Limit it because you're going to kind of find yourself drifting and you start focusing on you. And that's the moment you lose.
Yep.
And so when I feel that negative emotion inside myself, that I'm like, ooh, that's not good. I'm not moving.
Yeah.
I had this, that, and the third to do, and I didn't do it today because I was looking at this or I was doing that. Put yourself back on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, be your hardest critic. It's kind of like you got to be hard on yourself, but also be the best lover of yourself. Love yourself enough to know, because you gotta
Right.
you gotta love yourself enough
She
to know
talking
that
to
like
y'all today.
what
She is.
You're
what
yeah.
you're doing is important and what you're doing has value. It doesn't matter what your path is. Just because it doesn't look like someone else's,
Yep.
that doesn't mean that it's any way less. And I feel like a lot of today's world makes you feel like they always want to make you feel you need more
Yep.
and that
When
you're
you
not
don't.
doing enough. Exactly. It's like, are you doing enough for you today? What do you have on your to-do list today? And then if you find yourself, all right, I had 3 things to do today and I only got 1 done, what stopped me?
Mm.
Ooh, okay, I need to watch that. Okay, I need to fix that, And you're gonna have hard days. Like,
Oh,
don't
heck
ever
yeah.
think that you're not supposed to cry. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, I'm frustrated. But that's normal. And you just keep on pushing and you never forget that if you don't, if anybody, all the greatest people that we look up to, artists or musicians or
Yeah.
even TV stars, everybody, or even even famous poets or any of them people, you have to think at some point they were like, man, this is rough.
Yes.
Like all of the greatest of the things that they do, they had to keep pushing forward. So if you feel like you have to align yourself, maybe even with one of your favorite people, to be like, you know what, I'm pretty sure they had some hard days, do so. You have to find your methods and then stick with them. And then also take time for yourself for self-care. That's my last one. I would say, I know it's hard when you keep constantly pushing and worrying about everything else. I mean, there was times where I'm like, oh, I really got to clip my own, because I clip my own ends for my hair because I just stopped going to the salon because I was like, this is too much, like I stopped straightening my hair. I just was like, you know what? I mean, when you're in LA, you got to find ways to cut back. It's expensive.
Right.
So you got to find a way to make a way. So
Right.
even things like that. So for me clipping my ends, like, is like one of my self-care things. And like when I find myself not doing it in enough time, or like, oh, I keep pushing it back, okay, I'm not taking care of myself.
Right.
I can't pour back into what I want to do if I'm not pouring back into myself. And that's something that you have to do.
Yeah, when you said that, I thought about, so one of my self-care things is plants. And I notice when my plants are not doing well, that if they get like a green, like yellow leaves, or it's like a reminder to me to, all right, you're not focused. Because when I am focused, I naturally take care of them properly. Like, and but when I'm not, I find that I'm just busy and I've forgotten, and you can see it in the plant life of it. Like, so self-care is really important. We talk about that on the show a lot.
Oh yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what you went through in your life to give you such a high level of. I'm trying to figure out the right term. Like your level of
Self-awareness.
accountability for yourself. Like listening to what you're saying, I feel lazy. I really do. Like,
you got a whole podcast. Hold on.
listen.
He's not. He does a lot of work.
No, it's
I can see it.
but I'm listening to you, and this is like what you're saying, and how you're giving us the real, and how you are talking about the hard part is one of the reasons why we do this. This social media age has people thinking they can do everything in 5 minutes, 5 months, a year. Like sometimes it's gonna take you a long time, and you gotta put in the work so you know what you're talking about. You gotta shed the fear. You gotta make the phone calls. Like I didn't know you. I just reached out to you. Like this is how I get most of my guests, and I was like, this looks dope. Let me reach out to her. Boom. Like that. I'm now. It's just like waking up and breathing to me. It's like every day I'm hitting somebody up. But I really admire that about you. That it's very strong, and I feel that. And I'm like, I need to look in the mirror and give myself a little check, because I know when, I know I'm not doing well when it's a feeling. I'm out for fulfillment. Going back to a point you made earlier, and just thinking about how you connected everything with your brand. Y'all, when your why, that's what it is. Your why is very strong and very big. My broker from my real estate firm I used to work with and mentor used to always talk to us about our why. And I keep telling people always hit me up, yo, we could be doing this, we can be doing that. And I'm like, if it's going to be a big time suck, it has to be part of my why. I have to be passionate about it. I have to want to do this. It has to be meaningful, because money is not a big enough motivator for me. It really isn't. I could really put my head down, grind, and get me a nice corporate job and be making more money if I really wanted to. I have the resources to do it, but I know I would be miserable. So I'm like, I want fulfillment. I believe the money will come eventually, but I want the fulfillment. If I'm feeling good about what I'm doing every day, if I believe in what I'm doing every day, that's what I need. That's what I need. I got everything I need.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I would like to just kind of going back to that fulfillment and all the things that just being really intentional. I think that in your story, in your questionnaire, you talked about how there was one instance in particular that kind of shifted you with, I think, Mrs. Marie.
Yes.
And just how, tell us a little bit about that backstory. I don't want to like restate or state it outside of your words, but just you were homeschooled and there was a bit of a change. And how did that kind of bring you? I feel like that was a big part of what you're doing now, cultivating that.
Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of funny. So you know how all the kids are like homeschooled now, and they're like on the computer, and they're like, "Ah, this is hard," and parents like, "Man, this sucks." And I'm like, "Yeah, it does," because because I actually went through it. What happened was I have 3 younger brothers, and I'm the oldest. And my mom really, she's like a big educator. That's her thing. She's always been into education. And so she was like, you know what? I can't afford to put them into private school. And she found like this online school where like you could get the same education as some kid in the suburbs. And so for her, she was like, that's important. And for me, I was like, as long as you take me out of a small school, currently in middle school, I was like in a really small like Christian school. And I was like, I want to be a number. I was like, I don't like being like, I was like, I don't like it being so small. And I'm just running into issues. I was like, I just want to be a number. Like at this point, I'm done with that. And so I didn't know what I asked for. And I was a number, but I was number 1 at home, because then I turned into a homeschool student and I had nobody else. And it was just my brothers and me and my mom. And I was like, this is not what I wanted for high school. I wanted to socialize kind of, I kind of just wanted a bigger circle.
Right.
I just wanted more people, and that's not what I got. So one day my stepdad had like said, oh, okay, everybody get up, get ready. It's like a Saturday. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So he gets us all up. I'm like, what are you doing? And we're not cleaning. You're actually telling us to go somewhere? Okay. So he gets us up. He tells us to get dressed. He takes us to this church. And I'm like, church on a Saturday, like this can't be. I don't know where we're going.
I've been scared.
I was like, come on. Like, I was like, uh-oh. So then we all go to our respective rooms. I mean, honestly, the whole setup is weird. So literally the boys split off and they go into a room all together because they're twins and then 1 year older. So relatively they're all in the same age group. But I'm like 5 years older, so I have to go in the girl room. And so I'm sitting there with all these girls and they're kind of dressed in khaki. And so I'm like, all right, I don't know what this is. And the lady just comes, she's like this beautiful African-American woman with like long gray dreads, older lady, really respectable and sweet. She's like, well, have a seat. And I'm like, have a seat. Like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, where am I? Like, I have no idea where I'm at.
What is this?
Yeah, like, exactly. And so I sit down and everything. And she's like, okay, she talks about something, but I'm just so lost. And she's like, okay, well, we're having somebody here new. Introduce yourself. I'm like, introduce myself to what? Mind you, I'm 15. So I'm a little too old to not be knowing where I'm at. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is my name. I'm in this grade. And then there's these girls behind. They're like, wait, you're how old? They're like, oh my God, I thought you were a kid. And I was like, no, I'm 15. They're like, oh, you're the same age as us. And then I was like, yeah. And then the lady goes, do you know where you are? And I was like, no, I don't. And she's like, you're in Girl Scouts. I was like, Girl Scouts?
Stepdad, shout out to Stepdad. Us men, we love leaving out the details. Surprise!
Yeah, love leaving out the details. I was like, Girl Scouts, the ones who sell cookies. When I said I wanted social life, I didn't think you would take me to Girl Scouts at 15 with no badges, because I've never been in Girl Scouts.
No badges.
They badged
Sash
out in there?
Empty. They badged out. They badged out. They got accomplishments. And I'm sitting here and I was like, why am I here? You know, but the thing is, I got really committed to it because I had nowhere else to be, because I had no, real friends outside of the school, because your friends in the school are all online because it's throughout the entire Pennsylvania. So you could have friends in Pittsburgh, but you're not going to hang out with them. So I basically was still going every Saturday, like religiously, because I was like, you know what, at least there's some girls here my age, they seem really nice, I'm gonna be here. Right. And Miss Marie, it turns out it was like one of the most successful all-black girl troops in Philadelphia. Nice. And those girls got things done. Okay, they volunteered at the Ronald McDonald House. They were going like camping trips, like real things that I didn't think that we did. And I was like, I didn't know we did this. I was like, we don't know how to do that. And one of the things she instilled in us is that they have these things called excursions, like there are Girl Scout trips that you apply for. And the thing is about my troop, because they're mostly black girls, if they apply, they usually get in because there's not a lot of black girls who really know about it or apply for it. Mm-hmm. So she had me apply, and the first time I applied, my first time I was there, I went camping. Yeah, I did camping again in like the Channel Islands of California, where they did real hiking, which I was unprepared for 100%. And it was great. But the second time I was like my senior year, I really only had a couple more years in it. I mean, I came in at the end. Yeah. And so my last year, she was like, all right, everybody get in there. Miss Mary was like, go apply. And I was like, I'm not going to apply for a trip this year. Like that's, I did a camping trip. I don't think it's necessary. And then she found out me and my friend didn't apply, and she was like, go in the back. And there were like these old computers. I'm talking like Windows 1. And she's like, go in the back. And I'm like, oh my God, like, no. And she's like, go in the back and go find some trips and apply. And I was like, me and my friends like, all right, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not going to get in any of these. So we started applying to all the international trips. Oh. And so we're like, whatever, we're not getting in. Oh yeah, sure. Let's go to Rome. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's apply for that one.
Y'all
okay.
sneaky.
Yeah. Let's play. Yeah. We were just messing around, like dreaming, because I don't think we expected to really get in. And then when the replies started rolling in about, I would say 2 to 3 weeks later, we start getting replies back like, oh, well, we accepted you in. We're like, what? No, wait. That's what y'all because get. It is what we got. Because the thing is, that means you have to sell a lot of cookies so your parents don't have to pay a lot out of pocket. So now you got to be a grown looking Girl Scout. Remember, I don't have patches now, y'all. So I only had a couple. I'd only got like a few at this point, standing to sell cookies in the winter. Looking grown.
The Philly hustle.
You're not a cute little girl, and there's the hustle. So I had hustled and everything, and basically we were able to go on a 2-week Europe trip.
Wow.
And I toured, like I went to Switzerland Italy, London, and Paris.
And you're how old
And it's
then?
all, and right now I'm 26.
No, how old were you
So,
then?
oh, then I was 17.
Whew.
Wow.
So, and it's all because of Miss Marie, because even though I tried my best to hustle the cookies I could, she would like help me.
Mm-hmm.
And like she really pushed me, and she's like, and her famous line, she's hilarious. She used to be like, I want y'all to go out and go do things and experience things. I don't want to hear you worried about Daquan. And I don't know who Daquan was. I'll never know. I don't know who he was at some
Oh my
point
goodness.
of the year.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want you stressing about no boys, and I don't want you worried about what you want to be back here with Boo Boo. She's like, you're gonna be focused on, you know, you and your future and all of that. And she kind of was right. Like, even if I lost it a little bit down the line, I always feel like, dang, like she really helped me believe in myself, because I really didn't think I was gonna go. And my mom didn't have a lot of money, so her even standing on the corner with me, like hustling those cookies, and we're talking freezing cold, like,
Yeah, I
you
know.
it's Philly winters. Yeah, I mean, you guys in New York, so like Philly winter, you know, they're bad, they're rough. And so it was just really amazing how she even just believed in all of us, because it's not really just me. It was every single girl that came in there. I think she was even like a caseworker. So she even helped
Oh,
girls in the
wow.
system. I mean, she was just like a superwoman to me. And it helped me believe in myself a little bit, because she used to make fun of the other girls, because I had nowhere to be, remember? So she used to be like, you guys are late coming in here, and this girl is here every day on time. After that, of course, I had to start coming in late, because like, don't make me stand out. I was
Right,
like,
messing
don't-
up your street
mess it up.
credibility.
Yeah, I was
Right.
like, don't make me stand out, because yes, I'm a nerd at heart. I'm gonna try to be here early, but you're making me stand out a little too much. So, but yes, she was like that, and so I think, and she even made me get my gold award. So like that's like the highest award you can achieve. You do like an event or something for your community,
Mhm.
and I hosted like a little science kids, like to teach kids about like science and different things like for the summer.
Nice.
And I submitted all that paperwork and all of that, and I got my gold award. Even when yet again, I wasn't even trying to get that. I was like, look, I'm just trying to float through here. I got some friends now, but it kind of like she kind of kept pushing. And I think that that hustle and that she put in me at that time, to know that if I put the work in, I could do something and get somewhere and be anything I wanted if I really tried. I think kind of came back years later when I went to school for the first time, to college, and I was like, I'm not happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting good grades, but I'm miserable. And my mom felt that. And that's kind of where the move to LA came from, because I was like, you know what? It's hard here. College expensive. I don't even have the money for this. And now I'm upset and miserable here. I was like, you know what? I'm willing to take a risk. And that risk led me down, of course, to Bahari Vodka down the line. But there's no way of knowing that. And there's no way of that happening without Miss Marie.
Wowzers. Left field question. What's your favorite Girl Scout cookie, if you even still like them?
Oh my God. So I don't like any of them. I used to,
Thank
I
y'all
used
for
to-
joining us on this episode of From My Experience podcast. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jessica.
No, I was saying I agree, because like the cookie that I used to like back in the day, it was a lemon cookie, and it was in but it was a sandwich like an Oreo.
Yeah.
They have the lemon cookie with like
The powder on it.
powder on it. No, that's a no. They have the one with it's like a thin shortbread, but it's papery tasting. I'm not a fan.
Yo.
But
Insanely wrong. Like, I feel you. Like, they
Yeah.
have good cookies and they drop them.
yes,
So when I was
the
selling them,
good
I used to
cookies are
lie.
the ones that get dropped, and I do not understand why. Like,
Y'all
I
not
don't.
gonna sit here and disrespect Thin Mints like that, okay?
Okay.
Thin Mint is okay.
Oh.
Sorry,
It's
I'm not a
probably
chocolate mint person. I want to like it. I really do. I wish I was a
Which one?
chocolate mint person.
chocolate mint.
And mint. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's just not me. I had to lie. I used to be like, oh yeah, I love the shortbreads while selling them. Oh yeah, these are my favorite. Somebody with Thin Mints, and they would, because I mean, you know how they go hard. Some lady bought like a case one time from me. Like,
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
box.
I mean, like people that love Girl Scout cookies love Girl Scout.
I buy a
cookies.
couple at a
I
time.
love y'all. Y'all
And
sent me to Europe.
and
So I'm
they're
not gonna be mad at
exclusive.
y'all.
You can't get them when you want to. That's the other thing. Like, it's like they're here and then they're gone. You gotta wait. Oh man.
True marketing ploy.
This is true.
I I gotta I wanna. Well, first of all, that was an amazing story. Was that like the whole Girl Scout thing? Was that something your stepdad came up with on his own, or did like you ever find
No.
out what was behind?
No, he didn't come up with it.
He just drove.
You know what?
He just walked out up and drove.
No, yes. He I guess he found it. He found it and was like, "Oh, they could do this." And there was no more. There was no.
He came up with it. He found it. Was like, "Yo, y'all ain't got nothing to do. Here you go."
And I mean, literally, it's like I was like, "Do you even know everything they do here?" Like, I don't think he did.
Maybe he saw the billboard.
There's no billboard. Like, I don't know how he found. I think it's like word of mouth. He's like, I got 3 sons. They could do Boy Scouts. I got a girl. She could do Girl Scouts. They don't got nothing to do. See you here Saturday. Like, and that was that. To this day, I'll never know where he got it from, but it was one of the most random and best decisions he's actually made. He
got
for me.
it because men be knowing stuff. Y'all don't always know our methodology. There's a method behind the madness. So I have a question. I don't know how much you can say about this. Back to your vodka. What how did you come up? Did you like the recipe, right? Is that something you came up with? Like, how does that work?
It honestly was it's just sugarcane. There is no recipe. It's vodka made of sugarcane. Like, it's nothing. Vodka is actually one of those alcohols that really you can add other things into it. Like, you can do, I'm gonna do potato, barley, and rye and make a vodka, but really it's just a sugar. They just need like a high sugar content in something to make it. And actually, most of the time when people do sugarcane, because you would think like, oh, that would be better. Actually, sometimes it can be very, very harsh. So it just depends also how the sugarcane is grown. Like, for example, our sugarcane is actually grown from Brazil. So that's different from the sugarcane that grows in Florida because sometimes there's just a difference in the way they produce it. So, and that actually does affect when they actually break it down and make it into vodka. Really, it's not, I believe it or not, I wish it was fancier than that. Like, I wish there was some, you know what I mean? Some sprinkles, I could tell you that, but really, all vodkas are just like potato, like I think Tito's use corn. They just use corn. You know what I mean? And so, like, everybody has their own different things that they make vodka out of, and it's just like straight. Yeah.
I'm a little sad now. All these fancy commercials talking about their processes and they mean nothing. You could have just said potato.
You know what? It's marketing.
It is, and it works.
They got to tell you, you know, even they'll be like, oh, it's 50 times distilled. Come on. Like, honestly, that just means like, that means that they filtered it 50 times.
What does that do? What does filtering do? I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's supposed to take out all the impurities. So, like, when you first get, like, the mash and, like, the actual alcohol, it's got all the, like, it's not going to be kind of pure. It kind of can also give you like a headache if you were to drink that straight. It's like moonshine. Like, you just kind of knocking it back. But like, they filter out all of the impurities and stuff. And so what it does is give you like a nice, crisp, like smooth, clean taste the more it's filtered. But then you got to think after a certain amount of time, how much could they be taken out?
Right.
Like, how much needs to be taken out? 50 times? I don't think so.
Right.
But what it is that it sounds better. It makes people feel like, oh, the drink must be really smooth or it's really high quality.
It works on me every time, not gonna lie.
And it gets you, and trust me, that's what they want. And it works, and then, you know what? And some of it you can taste the difference. Don't get me wrong. Somebody has like a sweet potato vodka, and they make them out of sweet potatoes, right? But the sweet potatoes are very, very, very expensive. That was my first thing. I was like, oh, you know, black people, you know, we love sweet potato pie, and I was like, that could go well. And then they were like, yeah, so this is the price. And I was like, yeah, so I don't have that.
Like, your exclusive line once a year.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like also what, like, how much it takes to actually make the vodka. So sweet potatoes look like they have a lot of sugar content, but they don't in comparison to other things. So they can be expensive. So yeah, you can believe in some of the things they say, but just also know, like anything, you know, they spray the hamburgers and stuff on TV, make them, it be plastic. You know what I mean? You can't eat that. I mean, those are all part of it. Marketing is amazing, and that's why they go to college for that. People go to college to study, to learn how to exactly.
I only got one more question for you, Jessica. What else you got? You have the face
Well,
up.
while we're there,
go ahead.
I wanted you just to share with our audience what Bahari Vodka means and where that came from.
Absolutely. So Bahari actually means ocean in Kiswahili. So, and in Swahili is one of those old languages, like one of the oldest and like spread out languages. So like every Pan-African like always talks about Swahili. And it's actually there's different dialects of it. It's kind of still used to this day. But I just feel like in general for anybody who's came to America, like we've heard about Swahili 1,000 times. And it's something that kind of still connects us in a way because it's one of the older parts of especially it's West African language. And ocean, I really significant yet again was because that's exactly where we've come from. We come from all over the ocean. You know what I mean? Like when we cross these countries, we cross the ocean to get to all these different places. And like we never put any significance into it. We just kind of like, oh yeah, we got to America. Oh yeah, we got to Brazil. Or oh yeah, we got to these places and it's whatever. But it's like, no, it's actually quite amazing that your people have been spread out throughout all over the ocean. And also because I did on the back of my bottle, I did want to also honor people that sometimes didn't make it through the journey. You know what I mean? Through some of the, the trade, they chose to take their own lives. And so even the fact of I have on the back of the bottle that, in honor of those who chose to sea instead of bondage, basically. Mm-hmm. So even there's importance to them. Like we still owe an honor to them who didn't make it. So like anybody of any African descent, no matter where you are, you're a survivor. No matter where you are, you should be proud of where you come from. I don't care what's happened in your life. I don't care if it hasn't always been the brightest or the greatest. But we, at the end of the day, are products of our ancestors that crossed these oceans. And we have to somehow connect ourselves to that and kind of just hold ourselves accountable and more of a higher esteem. It doesn't matter where you come from. Your ancestors did a lot for you to get here. You're not here by magic. Like there's science behind that. And so we should really kind of take that as special is what I really want people to do.
I'm gonna pick my jaw up.
There you go. You got to.
I got nothing else. Jessica, that was...
I have nothing else either. I think it was just great talking to you and seeing for all the dreamers, the people with dreams and ambitions and want to do things. And even I think sometimes when you hear people's story, it sounds like, well, dang, well, they've been doing that for 15 years. I'm late. I'm behind. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing that I've taken away from your story, even in my own, like, looking at my life and just from a learning aspect and inspiration aspect is this is something else, yet another story, beautiful story that was birthed out of the pandemic and birthed within the last, 15 months of dealing with this or so. So you can have a dream, and if you're consistent, just drilling into that consistency and having tribe, we talk about these things all the time. I think they're the perfect recipe for success. And thank you for sharing your story and inspiring us all to know that it is possible and you can do it. And, it doesn't take 30 years dedicating necessarily, just a quality intention and doing the work.
Now tell everybody where they can buy all of your product, your vodka.
So currently you can buy it if you are not in Florida, South Florida. You can actually get it online. It's BahariVodka.com. And you can actually have it shipped to you. Just make sure the states right now, we're in 20 states right now. If you are in Florida, we are in Total Wine. I just had a tasting last Saturday at Palm Wine and Spirits. That's in Miramar, Florida. We are in those locations, and we will be updating the website. So if you go to BahariVodka.com, we'll also update to all the locations we'll be in. But really for everybody who's, of course, because you guys are in New York, it's going to be online. And then y'all just keep on hoping and praying and putting some faith in me so I can get out there.
Jessica is actually in Texas. I'm in Virginia.
Oh, well then, yeah, actually, Texas, let me see, Virginia, yes, Texas we're working on.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the state legislature, they're kind of, to be Texas, they're a little...
Yeah,
listen. They get their contracts and stuff together to make it work for them. That's Texas
exactly.
culture. We're not going to talk about what
and I'm like, what's going on?
Tell me about it.
All right.
You just shocked. Yeah.
Huh?
No, I just said
I was
all
shocked
righty.
about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Texas. You be safe down there. Ladies
Hey,
and gentlemen,
what part of Texas are you in?
I am in Dallas, Texas.
You in Dallas?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he said it. Be safe
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
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 I
You
don't know.
know,
That was heavy.
No,
you know what?
I was saying that because of a law that just passed down there.
Okay.
I don't want to talk. This ain't the show for that.
This ain't the stuff that I
Like,
said. Hold on.
I'm over here sitting here looking at both of y'all faces like I should like run.
We'll talk
pack my
afterwards.
computer up and get out.
No. It's not that bad. We'll talk afterwards. But ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all again for listening. Natalie, thank you again for joining us. Oh my gosh, and sharing such a powerful story. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of her contact information will be in the description. Support Bahari Vodka. Check out the website. Order a bottle. I'm probably gonna order a bottle now. And you know, and y'all know y'all can follow us FME_podcast on Instagram, From My Experience Podcast on Facebook, Complete spelled with a K _vision if you want to follow me personally. I'm highly considering making my personal page public, but I'm highly considering it just to make it easier on y'all. Jessica, where can they find you?
You can find me at Exposure on Instagram. That's EXPOZHER, as well as JessicaRenee.com for all of my going-ons. What is that, going-ons? It was very country. But, as you know, my brand is country and culture, so
It always works.
Don't be surprised.
It always works. You branded yourself perfectly. It always works for every situation.
It does, because that's who I am. I'm not going to keep boxing myself for these people. I can't.
All right.